we go. Salute to NBA Nation on this Saturday afternoon, a matinee edition of the NBA Report. CP the Franchise, Alex Charles, Andrew Salop, the 1-2 combo in the building. On today's show, we're going to recap an action-packed Friday night, man. D-Lo powering the Lakers to a must-win victory over the Milwaukee Bucks. We had Jalen Brunson, captain clutch for the New York Knicks, returning in spectacular fashion to lead the Knicks over the Magic. The Thunder, led by SGA, taking back the West Crown, man, with a clutch win over the Heat. And we're going to talk a little Celtics versus Nuggets Thursday night game, man. Nuggets over the Celtics, a finals preview. We'll get into that, man. So lock in, hit that thumbs up button for you boys, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Another edition of the NBA Report, man. Let's get it going. All right, fellas, how we feeling, man? Another Saturday. How we feeling, man, this weekend?
Feeling good.
Feeling good, man.
Good.
Yeah, feeling good, man. Weather's starting to change a little bit. It's feeling good in NYC.
Most definitely.
Is this real spring or fake spring? Well, I have no idea at this point.
Nah, I think it's real. I
think it's real?
Yeah, even next week it's gonna. I think it might touch like 50s, 60s next week.
Oh, 60s?
I think next Thursday in New York, it's gonna hit like a little low 60s, man. So we're here.
So Puckswinny's Phil was right after all. The groundhog.
The groundhog
actually gives
right.
an accurate prediction.
Look at that. The groundhog was right, man. And you know, in LA, the groundhog was right, man, because D-Lo shined bright, man. Shine bright. No LeBron, no AD, and the Lakers are able to get by the Milwaukee Bucks, man. 123-122 in crunch time. D'Angelo Russell, 44 points, 9 assists, 9 3-pointers, and 8 points in the final minute and 13, while the Lakers had rallied from a late deficit. So that was a big win by the Lakers, man. They were down by as much as 5 in crunch time. And they were able to get some key stops, 2 key stops on Dame, one that led to the D'Angelo Russell eventual game winner, and then ultimately they get the block shot on Dame in crunch time. Spencer Dinwiddie, of all people, gets the clutch block, and the Lakers survive, man. That was a big win for them, man. Al, what'd you think about that win last night?
Well, okay, the Lakers are trying to make sure they can stay in that play-in tournament category, even though they probably want to get even higher, but you know, it's a good win for the Lakers, man. D-Lo's starting to perform. You know, you have Darvin Ham, who has been tinkering with the lineups. Now he's sticking with D-Lo and Austin Reeves in that starting rotation. So it's starting to look, you know, it's still up and down, but I guess it looks better. You know, obviously you don't have LeBron playing last night. He's hanging out with Jeannie Buss and, you know, everybody else and just chilling courtside. You know, we will go
sipping
into
a martini with management, you know?
Yeah, we won't dive too deep into that. That's what the internet's for, man. That's what Twitter does, all right?
Absolutely.
That's all for those guys.
Facts.
But look, for the Lakers, it's a solid win, man. They get to keep pace within the standings.
Yeah, Andrew, what'd you think, man?
I mean, D'Angelo Russell shows the full skill set in this one.
Yeah.
And Lakers fans were calling for a trade earlier in the season, and to see him play like this, it's just crazy because he always had the skill set. And, you know, put the passing aside, put the finishing aside, which he has, like him as a shooter, just very skillful. The ability in pick and roll to shoot it, the ability in ISO to shoot it, even the ability off the move as a movement shooter. He could shoot it like that as well. And then, as I said, you know, putting the passing and the finishing to the side, he has all that as well as a finisher. You know, different kinds of options around the rim, left hand, right hand, floaters, scoop shots. He is just a super skillful player. And one of those guys, when he's playing well, he looks like an all-star talent. Now there's more and more of those guys in the league than ever. Like maybe in the right situation, they could sneak into an all-star game. Even Spencer before the injury was a little bit like that. He's not the same right now, but hopefully he could get back into that mix for Lakers fans at least. But, you know, just watching D. Russell play like this, the two-man game with him and AD was really nice, and he controlled the whole game. With LeBron out, you needed somebody to control the game, and he did just that.
I mean, you don't got to tell him twice. With no LeBron, no AD, and they say, hey, D-Lo, you got the green light. He's going to go. You know what I mean? Hell or high water, make a miss. That's one thing about D-Lo. He's never lacking in confidence, but you hit the nail on the head, man. I thought skillful was the way to put this game by him because this was as good as a performance as we've seen in the NBA all year, I think. Just the way he was operating out of the pick and roll, he seemed like he was like a 100% in terms of efficiency out of the pick and roll, both as a playmaker and as a scorer, getting his buckets in at all three levels. I mean, this Milwaukee Bucks perimeter defense, as you know, with those two guards, they're ripe for the taking on any given night. So for D'Lo, it was just a masterful job by him. As you said, the two-man game with him and AD was ferocious last night. 8 points in crunch time. I mean, what more could you ask for out of him without LeBron James and Anthony Davis limited with a shoulder injury? You know, D'Lo was every bit as masterful for this team, and they were able to survive a Giannis triple-double. I mean, Giannis had 34 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists in this game. A Dame double-double. I think Dame had 28 and 12 in his own right, and he was starting to cook in the fourth quarter. Bobby Portis off the bench, 14 points for the Bucks. And so gritty, just overall gritty victory by the Lakers, man, and a much-needed victory. They got 18 points out of Austin Reeves as well. Yeah. So good job by them, man.
I mean, Alex mentioned the internet. They're going crazy over the Pat Bev 0000 stat line.
He put up the Tony Snell. Yeah, Pat Bev with the Tony Snell treatment.
Wow.
Oh, my God. I heard the Lakers was giving him the business last night as well.
They were, but his impact has been, immense. You know, it happened last year with the Bulls, this year with the Bucks. I mean, their record is better with Pat Bev. But Alex, go ahead. I know you were saying something.
I was going to ask, like, how much do you believe in D'Lo being able to contribute, like, not necessarily 44, but to be just an impactful, efficient scorer for the Lakers? Because that's what they need, man. Obviously, you have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis. It's going to be those two guys that carry the team. But, Austin Reeves has been touted as that third guy, and D'Lo has just kind of been, casted aside as just like he's either there or he's not. How much do you buy after last night's performance that moving forward you can rely on him on a game-to-game basis?
I buy it all the way in terms of scoring. I think the thing with D'Lo is like, can you trust him to make great decisions consistently over the course of the playoffs? I think from a scoring standpoint, and CP talked about it, I talked about it, the skill standpoint, it's amazing. It's just like, can he make the right decision? But I think at this point, you got to go with him, right? You got to go all in with D'Lo and just see what happens. But I think I believe in it overall.
I don't trust it. And I think that's the problem with the Lakers right now, is that it's still an over-reliance. Their success is still highly contingent upon LeBron and AD playing at a high level. And we just haven't seen it in basketball. Football is a little bit different. Tom Brady and some of those guys can go Brett Favre. Like, you can still have success as an individual player in football and even in baseball, but basketball is a little bit different, because when you rely on a 39-year-old LeBron and then an AD who's injury prone, I just don't like their chances for success. And that's why I think the Lakers are in the position that they're in right now, in ninth place in the West. They just are who they are. And I don't necessarily trust. D'Lo's never been a primetime playoff performer. He had his spots last year. He had his spots where he's knocked down some shots. But, like, they need him to be almost on this level night in and night out in the playoffs. And he's never been that as a playoff performer. He's never been consistent. And that's where I think it gets tricky for the Lakers, because both D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves have to come up big in these playoffs. Because, look, they could see OKC in the first round. They could see Denver in the first round, and then they're out of there. So, he has to perform at a consistent level, almost like this. But with LeBron playing, can he be that? You know what I mean? It changes. It changes its dynamic when LeBron's on the floor.
I almost trust LeBron more than AD at this point, even though LeBron is the elder statesman.
Yeah.
I could trust Reeves to show up in the playoffs. I mean, he did that last year. I mean, he shot 46% in his first playoff performance. He had an effective field goal percentage of 56.4%, was shooting 44% on close to 6 attempts from three per game, and then averaging 17 points per game. So I trust Reeves in that spot. For D'Lo, I think Andrew said it comes down to the decision making. Like, that goes hand in hand with the offense for the position he plays as a guard, right? Being an offensive guy, and then you're going to ask him to facilitate, especially when LeBron's off the court. I I go back and forth, being like, I feel like I'm on that seesaw, man. Like I can either buy into like D'Lo being that guy to show up this season for the playoffs, but then you start to see like games where it's all right. It rears its ugly head, saying, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can actually fully buy in, but there's been crazier things that happen in the playoffs. For D'Lo, it just takes one hot streak, just a guy to get into like that zone and really perform in. Look, this may be, we talk about it on the Knicks, CP, where when guys are missing time, other guys get to step up and get more comfortable in their position. This could be that opportunity for D'Lo, man, to finally get that playoff performance that he's looking for. And I'll give him this. He did do well when he was at Brooklyn Net and for taking the Nets to that playoff series.
With Spencer, right?
With Spencer.
That's a built-in chemistry.
Yeah.
True story. True story. And since January 13th, he's averaging 22 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And he's already like in top 10 in the Lakers all time in threes in the season. And so
he's gonna set the record, I think, this season for most threes in a season, right?
Yeah. So, good job by him, instant offense, but he's gonna be needed in crunch time, because here it is, LeBron James. I mean, before the game, Darvin Ham saying LeBron James is gonna rest a severe ankle soreness. Severe. He goes, it's just severe ankle soreness. So
it's just
that's I don't know how you could use both of those.
It's just
in a
and
sentence.
Severe in the same sentence.
It's just and severe in a sentence, but that's where it gets tricky for the Lakers, man. And as
it's just a severe concussion. See, he'll be back.
Right. It's
almost like it's just life threatening.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's just life threatening with 19 games to go in the season. But as we take a look at the West standings, the Lakers are 9th in the West, 1 game back at Dallas. Now Dallas did beat the Lakers in the regular season series, so they would have to jump them fully to get into 8th. You have Sacramento in there, who's ripe for the taking. The Suns, they're up and down. They're always up and down. Is Booker coming back tonight to play against the Celtics? We'll have to see. But they're 3 games in back of the Suns. Can they jump into 6th? Or are we looking at a potential play-in matchup with the Warriors? Things are a little bit fluid. But, Al, how do you see this shaking out for the Lakers, man, with the final 19 to go?
I don't think they moved that far, in all honesty. I think with the Mavericks, I know the Mavericks have been on the skid recently. Like they just won they're on a 1-game winning streak right now. They're 5-5 in the last 10. But for me, I don't trust the Lakers as much as I trust the Mavericks to stay at the same position. I feel like it's kind of what it looks like right now with the Kings being set. I feel like, let me take that back. If there's any change, it'd be the Suns and the Kings swapping places. If anything were to change, I feel like Dallas being 7 or 8 with Phoenix, those 3 are going to be the teams. Phoenix, Kings, Mavericks are going to be the 3 that keeps jumping up and down to me. And that between playing and just slightly out of playing, being in the 6th seed, 9 and 10 is just, to me, solidified as Warriors-Lakers. And I feel like that's the matchup we're going to get. I mean, come on, guys. How much would Adam Silver love this?
Absolutely.
How much would he love this? Oh, guess what? Guess what you get for the first play-in category?
LeBron versus
first
Steph.
play-in matchup. You get LeBron
James
James and Anthony Davis going against Steph Curry,
Klay
Klay Thompson, Draymond Green.
It's Chris Paul.
But is it good? Because that means one of them's definitely not in the playoffs, right?
Yeah. That's it. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Bad survival of the fittest is how the West is going to look, man. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever seen a bigger roller coaster when it comes to media narratives with this Lakers team? Like
Always.
one day, can they even escape the play-ins?
Yeah.
Next day they win.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers are legit title contenders.
Yeah. It's true.
Crazy.
It's true, man. But like the league needs it. It's the Lakers. It's LeBron. It's LA. They need it, and I'm here for it, man. Because to see a LeBron and Steph first round matchup in the play-in, despite how these teams are looking, and they've both been inconsistent all year, I'm still here for it. I'm still getting my popcorn ready. Watching LeBron still be at the top of the sport at 39 years old, to me, is still a marvel and something that I'm going to watch. You know what I mean? Because we haven't seen this before, and he's at the end. He's nearing the end here. So I'm definitely going to watch it. But for the Lakers, they've got to be hoping that, we're going to get to OKC in a little bit, but I think they've got to be hoping that either OKC or Minnesota stay in that top spot, so that if they do I think they need them 1 and 2, regardless of where either team finishes. You don't want Denver first round. So
You don't want Denver.
if they're stuck in that playoff playing range, then they've got to hope that it finishes between the Thunder and the Timberwolves finishing 1 and 2, regardless.
Are you guys
If you're the
excited?
Lakers, who do you want? Who do you want? Do you want OKC or do you want the Timberwolves?
For combo, I want to see. I mean, Anthony Edwards is another, great young player, but I want to see OKC take out either like the Lakers or the Warriors, and and then SGA can become that household name to the casual basketball fan, because it almost be like a passing of the torch. Not sure if SGA gets the torch, like if he wins multiple championships or not, but I think that'd be a fun story if SGA could just take them out.
It would.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're gonna get to OKC in a second, but I'm thinking if I'm the Lakers, it's probably OKC.
Yeah.
I think it's probably OKC.
I'm going with OKC. That's the team that you definitely want to see. Just because Chet and AD, it just seems like a favorable matchup for AD in that one. And then LeBron James playing the 4. I mean, you got Jalen Williams playing the 4 right now. I don't think that's a fair matchup at all. So that, to me, I feel like the Lakers would want OKC. When I look at the Timberwolves, if you get Karl Anthony Towns back healthy, they're too big. They're too big of a team.
They can match them with size. They can match them with size. Nas Reed.
Got Rudy Gobert.
Nas Reed's balling out too, man.
That's what I'm about to say. You got Nas Reed, Karl Anthony Towns. You got Rudy Gobert, who's playing up to his defensive player of the year status. That's that front court alone. That's tough to get through.
I think
between both of the guards, who's stopping Ant-Man? You got to trust D'Lo. You got to trust Reeves.
Ant-Man.
Speaking of Ant-Man, have you ever seen a more athletic play on a basketball court like than him hitting his head on the rim?
I think that's the greatest block of all time. I think.
Yeah, so. I mean the only more athletic play.
Wow, whoa. Greater than the LeBron.
I think magnitude-wise, LeBron's block on Andre is still going to be number 1. But in terms of like the athlete, bro, he knocked his head on the rim. There was one clip of like a fan courtside who had that angle. You could hear his head hit the rim.
No, for sure. It's one of the most impressive plays
It was like the side of his head. It wasn't the top of his head.
You're saying that's the greatest block ever. I mean, for the moment,
I think it might have been, man.
But Alex, honestly, in terms of just a pure athletic moment, the Vince Carter jumping over, Weiss, that's probably the most athletic moment I ever saw. But this got to be like top 5.
I think that's the category, though, Andrew. Athletic, yes. I think the greatest block, though. Like, think about you talked about CP, the magnitude of that block on Andre Iguodala.
I think you're thinking more moment, and CP's talking more just pure athleticism.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Moment-wise, I think LeBron's takes the cake. That's still the, and when we're watching in the finals, I mean, watching that live was one of the most ridiculous sequences I've ever seen. Insane.
Yeah.
But then I got that
chase down block still lives to this day.
Absolutely. And, to see him charging up from half court basically in 2 steps and getting there, it was ridiculous. But I got that same feeling when I watched this Ant-Man block, man, on Nesmith. But
that was crazy.
Yeah, no question about it. So we'll see how the Lakers fare. In terms of strength of schedule, I think they're like 12th in the league. Phoenix right now with 19 left has the hardest schedule left. Phoenix still has a lot of teams that they got to play. They got a lot of teams they got to play. They still got to play the Celtics twice. They got to play Denver, the Clippers. Phoenix has a really tough schedule to finish out the year. So they got to get healthy and figure out who they are going into April, because it's going to get a little bit tricky. But for the Lakers, man, I just feel like the inconsistency with the injuries. Vanderbilt hasn't been able to be consistent with them. You have LeBron. You have AD nurses in the shoulder. Is he going to play the Timberwolves on Sunday? That's another big matchup for the Lakers. They haven't even seen Gabe Vincent. Has Gabe Vincent even played a game for this team yet? So, the
trust on Darvin Ham too. Come on, that's got to play a factor as well.
And Darvin Ham is going to be tested as well. So good win for them. And let's see how they fare going into the final stretch. All right, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys, CP and Alex, on the 1s and 2s.
Whoa, you're going to forget Andrew? Come on, man.
And Andrew. Well, we just had post-game last night, man. We just had post-game, and I'm loading up post-game the highlights actually from the Knicks and the Orlando Magic. Al, Knicks stomping a mud hole.
You must
through
have had
the
that white
Magic
rum
last
we were
night.
discussing last night.
I crashed out, man. It was a long day, so my old ass, I crashed out, man, watching post game. But anyway, Knicks over the Magic, 98-74. Statement victory by the Knicks. Yeah, Brunson with 26 points, 11 of 19 from the field. Precious Achiuwa, a dominant night, 15 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks, 4 assists. Incredible. Josh Hart with a signature putback, monster game by him. Alex, me and you went through this on post game. Let's get Andrew's reaction to this Knicks victory over the Magic last night.
Actually, I want to shift this question to Alex because yesterday I asked UCP, like, what do you think about the Knicks ceiling if everybody gets healthy?
Yeah.
And now with Precious playing really good, right? And we're seeing everybody step up when some of their key players are out. Brunson coming back strong. Like, he looked like he didn't miss a beat. Like, what was he taking charges out there? Like, you might need
Bro,
to
he hit the deck like 5-6 times in this game.
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
first half alone.
Maybe you need to take it a little easy on that regard. Like, we don't want you to get hurt again. But Alex, just from your standpoint, what is the ceiling of this New York Knicks team? And I know this is only one game. Does this like change your thoughts a little bit? Like, how do you feel about the Knicks ceiling if everybody's in full health?
I think it's Eastern Conference Finals with everybody fully healthy. And, the caveat is as long as you don't play Boston within those first 2 rounds, I think you can go. I think 2 down to 8 is just wide open for anybody. Right team can get hot. I don't think there's another team that plays as physical as the New York Knicks defensively, outside of Boston. There's no reason why the Knicks shouldn't make the Eastern Conference Finals if they do not have to play Boston in those first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
To me, like, I don't buy the Bucks. Like, I think offensively just to be hot. Like, yes, the Knicks faced them 3 times when they're at the hottest point ever. Like, it was 40% from 3, then 50%, then 60% from 3. Like, that's just not real. We saw Miami take them down in the playoffs last year. Obviously, you had Giannis who got injured, but I just don't buy that. I don't know if the Pacers could actually do it. I think Miami still has their flaws. You go down the line. Orlando, they can't shoot the 3 well. I mean, the Knicks just mollywopped the living daylights out of them. For a team that averages 52 points in the paint. They held them to 26.
Yeah,
so
they got
there's just too many flaws between too many teams to say that. I think the Knicks, past the Celtics, are probably the more well-rounded and close to a complete team because they can play both offense and defense. Obviously, once again, it comes to not playing the Celtics in the first 2 rounds. Andrew, I see you don't like the response because I'm talking poorly about your Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, no, that's part of it. Also, like the Magic, they'd be so much more scary if they could shoot it. That's a huge issue.
They can't shoot. They can't shoot. They need shooting.
They're like the New York Knicks from last season, man.
Your ceiling is just not as high when you don't have shooting in the modern NBA. And that's kind of what I was like nodding my head at. They're so talented. Like, and defensively, they're really good.
They're
like,
tough.
They're
really tough.
A really good defensive team, but they just really need that shooting.
And we saw that last year between the Knicks and the Heat, man. Like that second round, the Knicks couldn't shoot the 3 ball to save their lives. And then Miami just did enough. And that's all you need. It's just, can you produce enough offense to get by?
Yeah, I mean, the Magic aren't even like streaky shooting. Like, they really just don't shoot it well. And that's going to be a problem for them in the playoffs.
I think the one thing I'm encouraged about the Knicks, even though shorthanded, is that they have so much potential defensively, especially starting there, right? Like you can. It could take a little while for them to build more chemistry offensively when everybody comes back and shakes off the rust factor. But off the rip, their defense, their versatility, and their potential could be ferocious, man. When you add in OG to the mix, the way Precious is playing, if Mitch comes back, the way McBride is playing, like Hart. What Jamal Mosley say last night in Powell, they were so physical with this team, and that is with half the team. Wait till you get your dogs back, and this is going to be a playoff-ready team, especially on the defensive end. And then offensively, Al, me and you talked about it last night, but, it's easy to – I think I had put Julius as my X factor, and it's easy to be that because he's one of the stars on the team. But I'm almost leaning towards Josh Hart here because if you're getting a Julius at 75%, if he has to change his game where he's settling more for jumpers rather than attacking the basket, then Josh Hart's ability to score, especially in the half court, the way that he's shooting a 3 right now, you need that, and the confidence in which he's shooting the 3 right now, you need that in the playoffs. Very important in the playoffs, especially when things slow down in the half court. I think Josh Hart is going to be very key for this Knicks team because he's going to be in there in major moments as a 6-man And then as a closer, Josh Hart is going to be closing games for this team. So Josh Hart's going to be key, man.
Can I split that X factor with you? Because I understand the Josh Hart factor, but I also
Yeah.
got to say Deuce McBride, man, because he's been elevated to now playing so many minutes that I think it's both between him and Josh, where you got to be reliable from shooting the three, because both defensively, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
For Deuce, if he can continue to show what he's been showing the last couple of games by being able to get downhill and knock down the three, then for me, it's like if Julius has to adapt his game, right, just to be effective, it's a all hands on deck type situation, but it's really comes down to that second unit, because the Knicks previously, right, you could rely on your second unit to give you that offensive punch. It was more of like a lightning and thunder type effect. Thunder being the starters because of their physical play, they're able just to play in that half court. Second unit, just they love to get out there and run. So with that second unit just changing from not being that high powered scoring punch that they once were, that's why I go to like you need both Deuce and Hart to really shine.
Speaking
of Hart, the other Hart, looked better last night, right?
Looked
like limited
great.
minutes. He's
on
a minutes
great.
He's on a minutes restriction, but you could just see like right off the bat, like he was ready to play. He was moving better. He was active, right? And I think that's really important. Some really like impressive defensive plays against Paulo at one point. Like he's looking better, and I think that's really important because the Knicks don't know the status of Mitch right now. So like, there's going to be some really important iHeart minutes coming up in the playoffs.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No question.
He had the juice like you, Andrew, after hanging out with CP in New York. And then you go to play pickup. He got the juice.
Yeah, Joe's Pizza will do that to you. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Yeah. and then, you factor in the Precious Achiuwa equation. He's another guy that, if Julius Randle needs time to ramp up or he's rusty or whatever the case, Precious could fill a huge role here in the playoffs as well on both ends. He went, I think he went, 2 or 4 or 3 or 5. I think he went 2 or 4 last night from downtown.
Yeah, he did.
Moving the ball very well. And then defensively, 5 blocks at the rim. Outstanding, bro.
Post game, bigging up New York.
Post game, bigging up New York. He's found the role, man. He's locked into his role here. I think there was a quote from one of his friends that was like, when he got here, he hasn't checked Twitter or social media since he got here because he wanted to lock in. I don't believe that either. But he wanted to lock in. Yeah, there's no way. This isn't the 90s. You know what I'm saying? He's still a youngster. But they say he wanted to lock in and get acclimated to New York, so he's been off his social media. So, but whether he has or he hasn't, it's working for him, man.
I don't believe it.
When was the last day you guys didn't check social media for a whole day?
When I was out,
vacation.
What?
Vacation.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there might have been one day.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about multiple days combo.
Yeah.
I was out. I was like camping out in the woods for like 2 days.
See what you have to do. See what you have to
do to escape.
Catch.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's what I'm saying. I don't believe that Precious is not checking the internet. Like, come on now.
It's true indeed, man. Let's shift over to OKC, where OKC taking on the Miami Heat. Miami on the second night of a back-to-back, going into OKC against Shai Gilgeous and those boys. The Thunder, consequently, coming off of a couple of tough losses, not really knocking them off their tracks, but stumbling a little bit. But second half, man, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was absolutely electric. 23 of his 37 points in the second half. OKC was down by 14 to come back to beat the Heat. Moved back into first place in the West, back as the Dogs of the West. Half game up on the Timberwolves. You had Jalen Williams adding in 15, Josh Giddey 11. For Miami, Jaime Jaquez, 25 for Jaquez. Just dropped a 30-piece the other night. Jimmy Butler, 20, 10, and 8. Bam, 5 and 10. And the Thunder roll, man. Andrew, what was your thoughts on this game, man?
I mean, it started out slow for the Thunder and Jaime Jaquez and Patty Mills, their new acquisition.
Patty Mills was dropping bombs out there.
Yeah, first half, they were dominant. They were electric themselves. But it really is great to see that OKC wasn't fazed by the physicality of the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Even trying some like big lineups, they're very versatile, like they could play that up and down Pacers type basketball where you're shooting a whole bunch of threes and still win. They could play this. They could play against teams with the physical brand like the Miami Heat and still win. And this team is super versatile, a two-way team, and then you have an MVP level player in SGA. What more could we say about him?
Dude, SGA. What was it? Consistency.
Let me
Yeah,
play. Let me
consistent.
play the clip, man.
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
play the clip because we gotta put some respect on SGA's name, man. Let me get this clip. Salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up on the Food Boys NBA Report, NBA Weekly, Episode 3. Here is SGA on his performance last night. His post game reaction was stellar. Let's play it, man. This is courtesy of Bally Sports. Here we go.
My whole life is consistent. Everything I do. From what I eat to when I sleep, to my recovery, to my loved ones, everything's consistent. And it's a routine for me at this point.
I mean, in 15 seconds, SGA gave you a masterclass on greatness, didn't he? I mean, it's no wonder why this guy is an MVP caliber player, man, because that was, to me, I put this out on Twitter just now, that was peak Mamba mentality. He said from what he eats to what he sleeps to how he prepares to how he approaches his family. I mean, that is the sound of somebody that is as locked in on the game and on his craft day in and day out and never slips. This is why he's so cerebral, man. I mean, I gotta go in on SGA, man.
Be careful, because Jason Tatum's somewhere lurking here, and you said gave him the Kobe, the Mamba mentality moniker, and then it's like, wait a minute, what about me? What about me? No, but when you watch SGA,
cold-blooded.
When you watch SGA, it's just like he can score at will, man, and it's not that like he's not the best 3-point shooter at all, right? Like he's shooting better this season than he has in years past. On like low attempts, he's taking about close to 3 attempts per game, shooting 37% from downtown. But the thing is that when you watch his game, most of it's predicated just getting downhill and finishing around the rim and hitting the mid-range jumper. And the fact that that's what the bulk of his game is, and you can't stop that, just tells you how great he is, that you can't defend him and he can still get to his spots. And then just being a playmaker too. I mean, talk about a guy that's averaging close to 7 assists per game. He just knows how to find his teammates. The man's unstoppable at this point. And for Andrew, I know he can't wait just for him to take down one of the greats, so that way he can be the household name, as he said earlier in the show. But look, you got to put respect on SGA's name, man. Like, this dude is he's just been a monster, man. We've been waiting for him to take this next step after Chris Paul led that Thunder team for that one season.
Yeah.
He was given the reins. Obviously, he had 2 seasons, 2 seasons where they rested him. Now you get to see what he can do. And I'm so excited for this year, man, because last year it's like, oh, playing category, they almost did it. It's a good movement forward. This year, nah, they are either they're going to finish number 1 or number 2 out in the West, and they're going to have home court advantage.
Yeah.
That's a massive leap for where this team came as a whole, and you got to give SGA that credit for taking it to that level.
I mean, look at these numbers, bro. He's shooting 51% from the mid-range, 91st percentile in the league, 93rd percentile in the short mid-range, 52%, 70% at the rim, 93rd percentile, and his overall effective field goal percentage is 57.9. He's in the 86th percentile. I mean, like, who's been a better mid-range scorer than Shea, bro?
I mean, DeRozan's a great mid-range scorer, but like if you're talking about an MVP caliber candidate,
KD probably.
KD.
Yeah.
There's not a lot though.
Not a lot, bro.
You guys are speaking to the mid-range. I think his game is tailor-made for the playoffs in that regard, because we all love the 3-pointer, we all love to the rim, but in late game situations and the shot clock situations, we've seen it. Like the teams that win championships has that guy that could get in the mid-range and score. We saw it with
high
Kawhi.
efficiency, man.
You think Bucks, but Middleton was getting that done.
Yeah.
KD with the Warriors. Steph is a great mid-range shooter, even though we think about the 3. Like you need that guy. Now the spot up mid-range is dead in the NBA. We don't really need that anymore.
Yeah.
But the guy that could get in the mid-range and score, so important. That's why I think his game is tailor-made for the playoffs.
The curl, the being able to get around a screen, or just knowing how to push and transition, a quick pull up, like what we used to see with Russell Westbrook when he used to be a Thunder, right? Just get a full head of steam going down the court, just immediately pull up from the free throw line. That's the type of stuff you need, man, for the mid-range game.
Yeah, he just moves different. He's a unique mover. Like deceleration, his wiggle, his finishes, his euros. Like he is just a handful.
The pace,
Yes.
the way that he can start and stop. But to me, man, it's the mentality that separates, man. Like it's just the mentality, being able to be 2 steps ahead of a defense, not being able to be sped up. I mean, just listen to his post-game comments. That's how he plays. You know what I'm saying? You never see him get too high. You never see him get too low. He's always just who he is, even keeled.
Consistent?
Consistent.
He really is, and he doesn't have that many stinkers. Like, I don't want to always bring Tatum into the mix, but we see a lot more bad games from Tatum than we do from SGA.
I mean, we could talk about that next game in a minute.
I mean, so I think that's the biggest difference right there. Another difference between him and Tatum is like he makes better decisions when it comes to his shot profile than Tatum. Like, he takes what the defense gives him. Jason Tatum often hunts tough twos and tough threes, and I think that's a big difference as well. I just think like he's clearly a better player at this point than Jason Tatum.
Well, shout out to Flizzy Flex in the chat because he says he's got 2 comments. Thunder equal first round exit. That's his first one. Then second one, he says I'm not putting no respect on his name until he shows me in the playoffs.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, it's fair.
That's fair. But I mean, you know, this year he's at his highest efficiency differential with this team that he's ever been, man. Plus a 12, 96 percentile. Good for plus 26 wins in the league. Could this be it? I think it depends on the matchup. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers knock them out. But if they get like a Golden State, you know, that this could be their time. This could definitely be their time. So, overall,
how many games do you see that going? OKC versus Lakers, CP?
I'll give them 7.
Yeah, that'd be a great series, right? That'd be fun.
I think they could go out in a tough 7, but I could easily see the Lakers taking that series. But overall, man, OKC has just been great, man. 24-13 against teams 500 and above. 20-6 against teams below 500. This has been a great year for them. No question about it. It's been a great year for them. So we'll see. Let's see where they are strength of schedule wise. Let's take a look and see where OKC is here. They are remaining strength of schedule 15th. So about middle of the pack. They still have another game against Boston. They got 2 against Milwaukee, Pelicans, 1 against the Suns. They got to see the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. That will be no easy game. So I hope he brings his A game because Brunson and them will be ready. We got revenge on our mind in that game as well.
Yeah, that you know what? That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's Easter. It's Easter, man.
That might be a game to go to.
Yeah. I don't know. God might have to forgive me on that day. I might have to get to that game. Man.
Yeah.
So,
what we doing? Courtside, CP? What we doing?
Yeah, we might have to,
Come
man.
on, Alex. Alex, come on, man. Come down. Courtside, baby.
Absolutely, man. All right, man.
Just go hit up our guy Robert Randolph. You know, I hear he knows James Dolan pretty well.
We'll hit Sergeant Sources up, man, and see if we can get into those seats. You know, why not?
Let's do it.
Why not, man? All right, man. Final topic of the show. You had the Celtics visiting the Denver Nuggets, man, for a NBA Finals. What some feel like could be an NBA Finals preview, and this one was every bit as advertised. Great game, great finish that saw the Denver Nuggets win, man. Squeak out a victory, 115-109. And I think this one was just capped off. You obviously had a Jokic triple-double here, but this one was capped off by yet another fourth quarter crunch time execution by the Nuggets that was championship caliber. We've seen it time and time again. We saw it against the Lakers when they beat the Lakers just recently, where this team just has the ability to dial in. And Jokic, the attention that he draws, the gravity that he commands, the double teams, his ability to make out of that and just make smart, cerebral pass. I mean, just throwing it up there for Aaron Gordon to get. This is what we saw in the finals from this team and why I believe they're just going to be so difficult to beat because the way that he's able to control the game in those moments combined with the skill set athleticism of Aaron Gordon being the wild card, MPJ being your shooter, then you got Jamal Murray being your floor general or scorer in his own right. They're going to be dangerous once again, man. Dangerous once again.
It just the thing, like I hate to have to go in this direction because the Nuggets deserve a lot of praise, but it just feels like at this point they're such a well-oiled machine. And CP, you said all of it. I got to look to the other side because this is where everyone loves to talk about because they have given no respect to the Nuggets this season, even saying like you have what's his name? Can't even remember his name. Pelton. You have Kevin Pelton giving his rankings. Tier of all of their own, he said the Celtics second tier, that's where the Nuggets were. Nuggets need to be up in tier 1 with those Celtics. And when you watch a game like this for the Boston Celtics, and you see you get a no-show from Jason Tatum, right? And you get the best performance out of Jaylen Brown. This is where I got to see it, man. I got to see it to believe it. And I just don't think the Celtics can do it, man. If you're going to have if your 1A is Jason Tatum, he goes 5 of 13 from the field, shooting 38% from the field, only getting you 15 points. It's not going to cut it, man. It's just not. And CP, you talked about Aaron Gordon and his versatility, his athleticism. I mean, he's the guy that they throw out like for defensively. He's essentially their OG Anunoby for what the Knicks do. You put him on Tatum, and you just see this is what happened when he had Aaron Gordon guarding Tatum. Like, Tatum is the type of guy, as he talked about in that article with Jared Weiss, that he likes to play chess, man. Choose and pick when he likes to attack, and Jaylen Brown likes to be that initial aggressor. It ain't going to work against a team like the Nuggets where you have someone like Nikola Jokic out there. So as great as the Nuggets are, I can go on and say like how great the Nuggets are. I look at the other side for this potential finals matchup and say the Celtics, man, I can't believe in this team either. That's why when it's like, oh, they're just easily going to walk out of the East. This is the same team that could easily crumble to the Miami Heat as we've seen in the past or anybody else. And we could see as we saw against the Golden State Warriors, you have 2 games and then a no-show.
Yeah, Andrew.
Jaylen Brown plays chess in real life. What's his Jason Tatum chess stuff? What is that, man? What are we talking about here, man? Oh, my God, Jason Tatum. Oh, my God.
Go in. He's about to go in. Go ahead, man. Go ahead,
man. It's like.
You're not a believer. We know this.
Not a believer. I know, CP, you said it's going to be Denver Celtics, people think. No, Denver Bucks. Denver Bucks.
Okay.
Will be where it goes. Now, are the results showing that the Bucks are winning? No, but they're getting better. They're getting better defensively. Some of the numbers are getting better. They're doing some good things, on the offensive side to make Dame more comfortable. And once you find that best version of Dame with Giannis, who's playing really well. I think Giannis is not getting enough credit. Like, everybody talks about Luka, Jokic, SGA in that MVP conversation. Giannis is playing really well. I don't see the Celtics coming up big when it matters most. And this is, it proves it right here in a lot of ways. Like, Denver is just so good, and Jokic he's unschemable, man.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing you could do. You can't double him
because
he's the best passer in the NBA.
Yes.
You can't. He could post anybody up. He got all these touch shots and floaters. He can make threes when you leave him open. And you mentioned Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is the perfect piece to have around Jokic. The way he moves without the ball, a supreme athlete who you could just throw it anywhere. And Jokic's passes are pinpoint anyway, but you could just throw it anywhere. Great hands, finish it. And then Jamal Murray, the perfect player, could play on the ball, could play off the ball, and that just fits so well on this team. And then, New York City guy, Coach Malone, just talking shit in the excuse my language, talking crap in the post game. So, I think this team's gonna win it, man. I think this team's gonna win it. Denver Nuggets.
And then when you look at how Aaron Gordon went 8 for 15, man, and that's who Jason Tatum also has to defend on the other side.
Yeah.
If you're allowing that guy to go be efficient. Hey, man, I'm just not a believer. I'm just not a believer.
Well, so who do you guys think win the East? Since you guys don't think it's the Bucks,
I'm still gonna lean with Boston, but I think that if I'm a Boston fan, I could look at this game as I could look at it in a couple ways. They shot 28% from 3, an atypical night for the Celtics from 3. You had Tatum only have 15 points, and here they were in crunch time. They could have easily won the game. I mean, you had some clutch shots from Drew Holiday, right? You did have Jaylen Brown go off, and only shooting 28% from 3 on the road. I think I would be a little bit encouraged. You shot 16 of 25 from the free throw line, 64% from the charity stripe. You clean a little bit of that up, Boston could have easily won this game. But I think where they're going to come into trouble if they see these guys again is the same area where I think Miami had trouble, and that is, to me, small ball can only get you so far. Yes, you will have your advantages offensively on a lot of nights, but in the NBA, 9 times out of 10, and we've seen it time and time again, size reigns supreme, bro. And what you saw in that crunch time situation there was Jokic was overpowering Porzingis. Aaron Gordon, the wild card. Who's going to put a body on him when you're going small with Tatum on the floor? That's what you saw. Nobody could put a body on him. and he was able to find those gaps in the dunker spot, and the Celtics were nowhere around. That's going to wear down Jason Tatum over the course of the game in crunch time, that you got to be so locked in physically and mentally that you got to check this guy and then have to score in crunch time or play make for you guys on the other side. I think that creates a lot of headache for Boston. They will certainly have their moments where they're going to be shooting well and things are going to be coasting for them. But I think when the rubber meets the road and they got to get down and lock in physically, especially in the front court, I think that could be a problem for them if they see this team again in the finals.
And the last thing I want to add on to that, hopefully it's the last thing, is that when you look at Jokic going against KP, like KP can't stop Jokic defensively.
He can't guard him. Did you see that last play where he shook him out his shoes?
Yeah, and then you're going to ask KP to play offense after that? I mean, look, this is 9 of 23. Shot 9 of 23. You have to play both ways when you're playing Nikola Jokic. It's just not real, man. It's just not real. I don't see KP going to be able to stop Jokic, and then Jokic just does whatever he wants on the floor, man. Andrew, you always say it. It's like Jokic and then everybody else beneath. So, like, if your guy's going to be KP, who has never been known to be the greatest defender, and yeah, you're telling me you got to stop Jokic, like
they didn't.
It's barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken. They didn't know what to do. They were trying to throw Drew Holiday on Jokic, and he just buried him. Like they had no answers. There's no answers. There is no answer. It's really an unsolvable problem when it comes to Jokic in late game situations.
Yeah. And what's funny is that me being out here in Boston, and I get to talk to, when I play pickup, Andrew and CP, I get to talk to some of the Boston fans who are really in on this team. It's like, yo, we just barely lost. You got
the pulse of Boston in your hand, don't you, Alex?
I do, and I love it. I love crushing it every single time I go play basketball, because they're like, oh, we can take down the Nuggets. I'm like, you guys in late game execution is just like non-existent. And then here we go, case in point again, late game execution. Where was it? Where was it when everybody needed to show up? It's not here. So when I have to go later today play hoops, I'm like, hey, guys, you said you're going to beat the Nuggets the second time you played them. What happened? Now you're going to tell me that, the oxygen being too high up in the altitude is what's hurting you? Get ready for the 7-game series then.
They're not going to be happy to see you today.
Yeah.
No.
Not at all. Not at all, man. Well, you got Celtics in the Valley of the Sun tonight, man, against the Suns. Andrew, what do you think about that game tonight? What do you think?
KD takes them out, man. KD takes them out. Easy money sniper. He actually took out Denver. He took out Denver with no Booker. So I think, and he's another guy that nobody's talking about. KD, one of the best players in the NBA. We're talking about all these other guys, but, he's dangerous, and I think he takes out the Celtics tonight.
He's still consistently putting up buckets. Devin Booker, looks like he could come back tonight. He could play tonight, so let's see. I'm interested in that matchup tonight for sure. I'll be watching that. Going to be watching some UFC, man. But great show, fellas. Great show. Salute to all the mods. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. TM, JJ, Jalen, KFTV, Jalen in here. Shout out to Lawrence Smith, Rare Edition. Shout out to Flizzy Flex, man. Shout out to Gamba, Junior Karoma in here. Everybody that tapped in. Make sure you guys.
We had JD in the chat. Look at
this.
We
had JD. Shout out to JD Sports Talk in the chat, man. Remember that this show is available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. And leave us some comments in the comment section, man. What you think about the show? What you think about some of the games that we touched on, some of the topics and the takes? Leave us a comment, and we will reply back, man. The NBA Report, CP the Franchise, Alex Rotaros, Andrew South, the 1-2 combo. Check out Combo's Court. New episodes dropping this week as well. And head over to KFTV, man. Our Game of the Week preview, Knicks versus Philly. Big matchup in the East. So make sure you guys tap in, man. We got Alex Rotaros hosting that. So follow us over at Knicks Fan TV to keep it locked for more NBA action, man. We out of here. Great show, fellas. Peace.